So part of the problem I have with this whole COVID-19 thing and all the measures they're taking here is that it's not really taking everything into account. For one, it's not really taking everything into account in the long run on whether or not this will just cause us more harm than good. Whether this will just cause us more death, more stress, more fear, more problems in the long run by all these measures we're taking than if we would have just kind of carry on life and, make sure we wash our hands, take reasonable precautions. Instead, they took completely unreasonable precautions, which will cause us more harm than good in the long run. So it's not taking everything into account. It's not because I think we need to just sacrifice the weak for the economy. No, it's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that this isn't taking the full scope of the actual harm and death that it will cause in the long run into account. It's pretty stupid if you ask me. It's not really taking any of this into account. It's not really even bringing that discussion to the forefront. Okay, and the second biggest problem I have with all this is that not only that, but it's also not taking the full scope of actual science into account. Because the mainstream scientific community, mainstream philosophical community, is operating under a paradigm of reductive physicalism. This paradigm does not understand consciousness at all. They just think of consciousness as some epiphenomenon in your brain. And that consciousness doesn't have any causal efficacy in its reality. That there is no such thing as free will. That consciousness is just a mere byproduct of a physical world. And I don't think that's right at all. Because I've spent a lot of time studying philosophy, and I have found that not to be true. And a lot of time studying science, and to find that even the science suggests that it's not even true. Dealing with quantum mechanics and epigenetics. And so I found through the work of Nassim Haramein and the Resident Science Foundation that there is not a linear causation of physical matter producing consciousness through some epiphenomenon in the brain. That there is consciousness embedded within everything, and that there is a feedback loop, a dynamic causation. So consciousness is creating reality, and reality is creating consciousness in a dynamic causation feedback loop. So it's really all, it's all this different stages of consciousness producing different stages of reality and consciousness. Okay? And so it's a dynamic causation. There's a feedback loop. So there is reality, or consciousness is creating reality. This is very important to understand, that it's not just a linear causation of all this. And then through the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, I found that when our bodies are in states of fear and stress, it lowers our immune system. It lowers all the functions because we sense the fear in our environment. So we automatically go to that fight or flight mode, and it reduces the growth and the overall systems of our body to do anything else other than react to that fear and stressful situation. So it doesn't allow our bodies to heal ourselves when we sense that fear and stressful aspect in our environment. So if we're constantly kept in fear and stress, it doesn't allow our immune systems to fully function. So we're not, by constantly using the fear, stress on the mainstream media, it's actually causing us more harm, putting our bodies in this state of fear and stress, which doesn't allow us to fully grow and integrate and heal ourselves. It inhibits our immune system. It puts us in this stressful, lower vibrational state of consciousness, which is worse for our body's functioning overall. So they're doing more harm than good by constantly promoting fear and stress on the news, and everywhere you go, it's fear and stress. Oh no, the invisible enemy! Which, the invisible enemy that Trump might be talking about might not be the virus, but some sort of spiritual virus. The Archons, maybe. The Anunnaki, the Draco, I don't know. Some sort of bad beings that are harming us, and those are the ones that are really in control of the media and have infiltrated the governments for thousands of years. Yeah. But anyways, they constantly want to put us in this fear and stress. Oh no, the virus! Oh, I'm so scared! And which is really inhibiting our immune systems. It's putting our bodies in a lower vibrational state, lower consciousness. And that's what the whole conspiracy is really about, keeping us in a lower vibrational state, lower consciousness. And that's what they're trying to do with all of this. And, they might have created this virus in a laboratory on purpose, released it on purpose, and now they're using it to try to keep us in fear and stress. So there might really be a virus, and it might really be harming people, as viruses have always been. And maybe this virus is slightly worse than normal. But what's making it exponentially worse are the fear and stress constantly being promoted in this regard. Okay? So that's what's causing matters to be far worse than they really need to be. And our whole reality isn't even working in this linear causation model. As if the virus is going to cause you to get sick. It's not even like that. Why are some people symptomatic and some people not? It depends on how your body reacts to the virus. If you're in a state of loving and harmonious energy, you're much less likely to get sick because you're functioning at such a high vibratory rate that things don't harm you like that. But when you're in a lower vibratory rate, you're much more susceptible to dis-ease. Because you're already in that lowered state, that lower vibratory state, you see? That's what they're trying to do. Put you in a lower vibratory state, lower energy, lower consciousness, which makes you more fearful and stressful, and it causes more harm to your bodies. That's what this is all about. That's what they want to do. So they're causing us more harm than good. And here's the thing. Maybe it's not even really this conspiracy. But still, it's not taking into account that, this is all science that I'm talking about. Bruce Lipton, Nassim Haramein, scientists. They've produced all this science. Quantum mechanics, epigenetics, it's a science. But they're not taking this science into account because most people are stuck in a limited paradigm of reductive physicalism that doesn't understand this. They might, think, they might say, oh, yeah, I know a little bit about quantum mechanics and epigenetics, but they're still stuck in a philosophical paradigm which doesn't really understand the causal effect of consciousness and reality. It doesn't understand how consciousness is creating reality. It's stuck in a paradigm of physicalism, which just thinks it's all physical matter, and that consciousness doesn't really play a role in all of this, which is a dogmatic and stupid paradigm that does not serve us at all. And I've figured this all out. Just saying, I don't have it all figured out. I just realized that this was a wrong paradigm because it doesn't take in consciousness into account, which is just ridiculous because consciousness is what matters to us. Right? To say we don't have free will, how does that serve us as a conscious entity to say that consciousness doesn't have any effect in its reality? It's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. And yet, this is the overall paradigm of the philosophical community, and then the overarching paradigm of the scientific community. It's insane. And so they're not taking this stuff into account here, guys, on how consciousness creates reality through these feedback loops, and how our states of consciousness have an effect on our body's functioning. And that loving, happy, harmonious states of consciousness allow us to stay healthier. And lower vibratory states of lower energy, lower states of consciousness, fearful stress, cause our body to enter into more disease by opening it up, by making us more susceptible. And so by only promoting fear and stress, whether it's a conspiracy or not, is doing us a disservice. And it's wrong, and we got to break out of this. And we got to break out of this philosophically to understand the role of consciousness in the creation of reality, the causal efficacy of consciousness in our world. We have to take this into account. And by not taking any of this into account, it's just insane. They're not giving us the full scope of the picture. This isn't, well, the science says we need to do this. No, it's not. The limited scientific paradigm suggests that maybe you should do this, but that's not taking the full scope of this whole thing into account. It's insane. You're not taking everything into account. You're stuck in a limited philosophical paradigm of the nature of reality. And that's why I think this whole thing is bullshit, because it's stuck in such a limited paradigm. I mean, conspiracy or not, it's stuck in a limited paradigm of understanding on the nature of reality. And it's not right. And we don't live in a world where you can just get a virus and die. Oh no, so scary. Consciousness plays a role in the reality. And this has to be taken into account if we really want to understand our whole environment, our whole world, our whole minds. So it's so critical that we have this understanding and bring this understanding to the forefront of our mainstream paradigms. And it's not. I have a degree in philosophy. I took many philosophy classes. Reductive physicalism is the paradigm they teach in schools. That consciousness does not have this effect in reality. It's bullshit, guys. I'm telling you. And, I'm saying even if it's not a conspiracy, it's stuck in a limited paradigm of belief, and it's doing us a disservice by not taking in the full scope of actual scientific understanding and philosophical understanding. But if it is a conspiracy, the conspiracy is to keep us in lower vibrational states of consciousness, to keep us in fearful lower energy states, keep us in lower conscious states. That's what I found the conspiracy to be. So, it seems to fit pretty well into the whole COVID-19 narrative here. Yeah. But, that's what I'm saying. We really just need to consider that we're not getting the full scope of the picture on the nature of reality here. And we're only getting a very limited paradigm of understanding. And it's not right. And we really need to understand the actual role of consciousness and how it affects our reality. And that it's not just a linear causation model where the virus is just going to cause you to get sick. You actually can play a role. You can better your immune system. You can really... There's more to it than what we're being given. They're only pumping the fear and stress. That you are a helpless victim of your reality, not an active participant, an active creator in your reality. And that's what's so important to understand. We need a philosophical system that can empower us. And it's absolutely insane to have one that doesn't. And we need to move away from all these institutions that keep promoting anything but an empowering understanding philosophically. And the academic community is the worst. The philosophical academic community, the academic scientific community is the worst. They're stuck in this paradigm. I know, because I took all these classes that were absolutely insane, and I bought into it a little bit. When I first started studying philosophy, I was like, well, they must know what they're talking about. And then I really started doing the research, and I was like, I don't know about this. And then, I figured out that, well, maybe even our history isn't what they told us to. And, maybe there are some extraterrestrial beings involved here. Yeah. But, we're not going to get into all that. Really, the whole point of this one was we're not taking in the full account of the actual science, particularly like quantum mechanics and epigenetics and all that in terms of how consciousness plays a role in the actual dynamic causation feedback loop in the creation of reality. That's not being given to us. That's not being discussed at all. And with the whole COVID-19 narrative, and it's clearly not taking in the whole account, not looking at the big picture here. And it's BS, guys. because we're not getting the full picture. We're not taking in everything into account. It's stuck in, and I'm saying it might not even be a whole conspiracy. We don't have to go there yet. But you have to understand it's stuck in a limited philosophical paradigm of belief. And it's not right. And it's so huge that we break away from this limited paradigm of belief that is disempowering to move towards a paradigm of an understanding that is empowering, that understands consciousness and its role in the creation of reality. And it's insane to think that it doesn't have any role in reality, that we're just conscious beings, just merely happen to have consciousness for no reason, and consciousness is just a meaningless byproduct of existence that has no actual play in the manifestation of existence itself. That is insane! And it's just stupid for us to have this belief system as a society and to operate from measures and to create measures only under this belief system. It's ridiculous. It's insane. It's crazy. Okay? We can't do this to ourselves. Look at what we're doing to ourselves. Does this make sense to you? It's just insane. We can't keep doing this to ourselves, guys. And it's because they don't have it's because of our philosophy. That's what it is. They have a very limited philosophical understanding, and so they're pushing their belief system on everyone else based on their limited philosophical understanding, which doesn't understand a lick of consciousness. I mean, they think they understand consciousness as some epiphenomenon in the brain based on neuronal fluctuations, and yeah, okay. Yeah, but it doesn't have any, no free will, no such thing as conscious causal efficacy. Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, why would I believe you if you don't even think we have free will and any conscious role? And, it's just stupid. It's just stupidity, pure stupidity. And we'll laugh at it one day, how stupid it is. All right, well, you get the idea here.